call time. Just for some introductions, I'm Elaine McDonald. I'm the coordinator of Project PA here at Penn State, and I'm the one that has been communicating with most of you, but up until now entirely through email, I guess. So it's nice to put some voices, at least, with email addresses. For those of you who aren't familiar with Project PA, because our project is mainly one that works with school food service programs throughout the state, and I don't think that's a role that any of you really play, although I know Gianna has been involved in a project of ours in the past. Project PA is based at Penn State, but it's a collaboration with PDE, the Division of Food and Nutrition, and we've been in existence for about 22 years, and we work with PDE primarily in helping them deliver their training programs for school food service programs throughout the state. Although our Farm to School project is one that does reach beyond school food service, obviously. So for about the past 7 or 8 years, we've had a project in place in Pennsylvania designed to promote farm to school. And we've done a lot of different kinds of farm-to-school related activities, including mini-grant programs, and we are really pleased to have this current mini-grant program in place. So first of all, I want to congratulate all of you for being awarded mini-grants. I'm not sure if we told you this when we made the awards announcement, but we awarded mini-grants to 30 schools, but we received 177 applications. So you can all pat yourselves on the back for being among those lucky 30. We were sorry we had to disappoint a lot of schools, but I think it really speaks to a level of interest in farm to school in Pennsylvania, which is always nice to see. So before I go any further, I mentioned that we are a partnership with PDE, and we have on the line with us Audrey Hess from PDE, and I'd like to give her an opportunity to introduce herself as well.
Thanks, Elaine, and good afternoon to everybody. And I would just like to second Elaine's congratulations. It was a phenomenal opportunity that Elaine and I had to read through all of those 177 applications, and there were lots of great ones, and you all are some of the ones that rose to the top, so that's fantastic. My role here with the Division of Food and Nutrition at PDE, for any of you that have elementary schools that may participate in the fresh fruit and vegetable program. That's one part of what I do, and the other thing is that I'm the point person here for Farm to School. And I just actually returned from a training last week with the USDA about local procurement, so working with food service in schools to bring more local foods into schools, and had a lot of opportunity to network with folks who work with schools and Farm to School across the country. So I'm excited to be able to hopefully bring some of those ideas to Pennsylvania, as well as thrilled to be able to share the great work happening in Pennsylvania, where you all are on the ground as I connect with people in other states. So I'm excited to hear about your projects.
Okay. Thanks, Audrey. So I think we can go ahead and get started. Let me just give you a little bit of background. We've been doing mini-grant projects for a long time for a lot of different types of focus areas, and we used to require schools to send us written reports about their project activities, and what we found from that is that we were hearing about all the great work that was going on in individual schools, but there was no sharing among the schools. So a few years ago, actually based on a grant project that we were a grantee involved in the project as a grantee, and that project used conference calls. Well, actually, they also required written reports, but the conference calls we felt really kind of were beneficial to promote sharing among the schools, so that we're not the only ones hearing about what's happening, and we wanted to provide this kind of forum for sharing and for learning from one another. So in lieu of written reports, we have decided to do a series of conference calls to hear about your projects. So that's what we are starting today with this first conference call. So as we go down the line, we'd appreciate it if you could just introduce yourself, tell us what role you play in your district, what your job title is, and then describe your overall plan, what did you propose to do in your mini-grant application? And then any work that you've done on the project up to this point. And as I started thinking about this call this morning and kind of looking at some of the mini-grant applications again, I know that a lot of you have school garden projects, so it's understandable if those have not really gotten that far yet, considering it seems like, spring maybe has sprung today in Pennsylvania. And then describe what you plan to do for the rest of your project, and then any lessons that you've learned that you think would be beneficial to share with other schools. And then after each person has done the report, we'll open it up to see if anybody has any questions or comments so that we can kind of facilitate that sharing aspect that I think is so important in these calls. So I've just listed the schools in alphabetical order, so why don't we start with Francine at Abington School District?
Hi, I'm Francine. I'm actually the ESL teacher for 3 of the 7 elementary schools in Abington. I'm a garden club sponsor, so we had a grant from the Philadelphia Horticulture Society Green City Teachers, and we started just a regular school garden, but we wanted to include edibles, so that's why we applied for this grant. So we wanted to add some raised beds for the kids in the garden club to raise, and the cafeteria manager is excited about it and wants to incorporate what they grow into the school lunch as they expand. A lot of the food that they eat in the cafeteria is frozen or not a lot of fresh foods, and I think the kids would be more likely to choose healthy choices if they grew them themselves and they knew it came from school. Another part of our grant that we put in here is for taste testing. In health class in the 3rd grade, it's required that they learn about parts of plants and nutrition, and something that the 3rd grade teachers do is have a plant party, but usually it's pretty dismal because it's relying on the teachers to use their own money to buy different vegetables, and fruits. So usually they just buy a pre-made vegetable tray from Sam's Club versus a lot of the local produce that is out there. So that is our project. So far, the work we've done is get quotes for the raised beds and had facilities come to our school. I've learned so far that when you put down costs and budgets in your mind, you need to plan for a lot more than what you put on paper. So Primex Garden Center, there's a couple parents who work there and were excited about that and wanted to partner with us. But in getting some of their feedback, we can't just put potting soil into raised beds. They suggest adding bumper soil, topsoil, potting soil, a whole mixture to amalgamate the soil for a better crop. And I didn't know that when I put that in the line order, so we needed to budget a lot more soil. And also, the facility said that in order to maintain the garden better, it's better to take out all the sod, put down liner, and then put down wood chips. So that way facilities doesn't have to try to weed whack around our raised beds in the summer and maybe possibly damage something in the process. So I was able to talk to a tree company in the area, and they're willing to donate clean wood chips for that part, which is great. Also, our PTO has offered $600 towards our project for all the expenses that I didn't think I had enough money for, which is also great. It's good to have a lot of people in the community and in the school be part of this together. We've also grown some garlic and basil and some carrot and radish seeds inside. So hopefully when things get going, we can just put in some of our plants from indoor to outdoor. for the remainder of our project, we just hope to be able to maintain this all over the summer. I'm a little concerned about maintaining gardens over the summer when school's out, but hopefully I can get a Google Doc going or something and have parents, families take a week to adopt, and then whatever gets grown, they take half for themselves and half will donate towards a local food bank. And for the fifth point, the main lesson I think would benefit other schools would be just ask about the money ahead of time, how much things would cost, instead of trying to figure it out from like HomeDepot.com. I think getting the experts in early is good for, always good to get their consultation ahead of time. I'm done.
Any questions or comments for Francine? I think you made a lot of good points, Francine. One thing I didn't quite catch, when you were talking about the cost, you said you reached out to someone who wanted to partner. Did you say that was a garden center?
Yes, and I know that they're a lot more expensive, garden centers, versus, sourcing out other things, but they are the parents, there's a couple parents who work at this garden center, and we're able to give pretty good deep discounts for these things too. But they're also willing to give us their time in terms of coming in to help set up, the raised beds and telling us what things to buy. We don't have to buy anything from them at all, but we've used them in the past for mulch and other things in other parts of the school.
Yeah, it sounds to me like one of the lessons that you've shared is that you might not have necessarily been able to anticipate all of the costs ahead of time, but you have been able to, it sounds like, do a good job of reaching out to some organizations that are willing to help. The garden center, you mentioned the PTO.
And the wood. I'm surprised they were so willing, the tree companies, to just find a clean batch for us. Usually there's a waiting list, and they said they'll put us at the top of the list, and they're willing to dump it right in front of the garden for us, which is great.
Oh, great.
Great. That's something that we hear a lot in these projects, that schools tend to begin talking about their farm-to-school projects, and they find that there are lots of people who are willing to, donate time or resources or funding. In the past, some schools have told us they've reached out to Home Depot, and they have provided materials for their garden projects. And I know that Lowe's offers actually funding for school gardens through an application process, but people have talked about just talking to Home Depot, and they have offered materials.
Good to know.
Anyone else? Any comments or questions?
I have a question about the grant itself. Is it okay to move some of the money around a little bit? Like, I anticipated just $200 for potting soil, but really I need $500. So if I wanted to take that away, do less beds, but, move that money towards there, how does that work?
If you would just send me an email describing that, I think that would be fine.
Okay.
May I have your attention, please? This is a reminder to all faculty and staff.
I just got some school announcements.
Staff will take a shirt in the elementary gym at 3:20.
I think your idea, Francine, for getting the families to participate over the summer is a great one, and sort of incentivizing them that they get some of the produce, as well as maintaining that school giving to the community through donation, I think sounds like a really neat balance. So you'll have to report back and let us know how that works out for the summer.
Oh, I hope it works out.
Yeah, that is something that's always a concern with the school garden, and it seems like that is one of the main ways that schools do it, through sign-ups over the summer. We've also learned that sometimes Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts troops, because they have service requirements, they may volunteer some time to maintain a garden, or if you have, although you're talking elementary schools, I guess it's usually at a high school level, if there's some kind of work program that students are involved in over the summer, sometimes they've been used to help in gardening projects.
And we have summer school for the special ed kids, and they're the ones that we take care of mine this summer. They come during the month of July.
Great. Okay. If there's nothing more for Francine, we'll move on to Robert.
Okay, hi, I am Robert Thomas, and I am an English teacher at Bartram High School in Southwest Philadelphia, and I've been working extensively with one of our middle schools, Tilden Middle School, in partnership, because we both have different garden beds. They have their set of garden beds, and we have ours, which were established 3.5 years ago. And we actually just got done planting all our spring crops, like cabbage, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, lettuce, carrots, beets. We have 10 large garden beds outside, and Tilden has 24 small garden beds. So we did a planting day over the weekend. One of the days was very nice. And I had my high school students become mentors to the younger students at Tilden, who are mostly 5th and 6th graders. And my students are mostly 10th, 11th, and 12th. And we've had a great success here at our school. And so we decided to share the success and work with the younger students at Tilden. Their program was languishing a little bit due to lack of support and student involvement. So we actually had our students make a video, a recruiting tool, and they went over to Tilden and showed it to different classrooms of students. And a lot of students wanted to become involved in the gardens at Tilden and also to work at Bartram. So, as a result, I have a core group of about 40 students who are called the Bartram Horticultural Society. Many of them are now 12th graders. They started with me in 9th or 10th grade, and so they are working diligently with the younger people at Tilden so that we can join forces, so to speak. Tilden became a community school this year, and in Philadelphia, community school is a school which does a whole lot of community outreach. We do that as well at Bartram, but when you're a community school, you actually have a person come from the mayor's office of Philadelphia and other support staff who are there to bring in psychologists, social workers, psychologists, dental people, eye exam people, to make it a true community school where people can come and get those services. And so they decided to do a food bank over there. So one of our missions is, as we grow our produce and crops throughout the spring, summer, and fall, to donate a percentage of them to the food bank, which will be at Tilden Middle School. Now, and please tell me if I'm rambling, because I love talking about my gardens and the students here. We formed quite a few partnerships in our area, in particular with Bartram's Garden, where John Bartram, famous botanist, his house was there, and he was a very well-known person in the world, bringing different plants to his gardens, which it's about 2 miles from here. And our school is actually named for John Bartram, so it all fits in together wonderfully. And people in partnership with Bartram's Garden have come here and helped us with different issues we've had with types of insects, checking the soil for contaminants, helping us set up our compost pile outside. And Bartram's Garden also hires at least 10 of our students every year to be workers at their farm. So it all really goes full circle. They work here and help me out. And then in April, there's a process where they interview for jobs at Bartram's Garden. They get to work there from May until September. And these are paid positions. And we actually have a long waiting list of students who want to garden and who want to join us at Bartram's Garden as well. So our main issue for both Tilden and ourselves is our gardens are not protected. Tilden says there's in a portion of the parking lot which isn't really used by any staff members. Our gardens are on the side of the school, and they're not fenced. They're just out there. We have a security camera at both places, but sometimes there is vandalism. We've been blessed because we've only had one major incident of vandalism, which was last October, where we had 100 plants outside and every plant was pulled out of the ground. So one of my students called me and showed me a video. He was hysterical. And I went to the school and we replanted most of the things because they tore them out, just the whole plant, including the roots. So we were able to replant 90% of our vegetable plants. And so with the grant money, we've been using that for a couple of things to help us sustain what we've already built up here at Bartram with additional seeds, seedlings. I've also been a fortunate person in the past to receive a grant from the Lowe's Foundation. If any of you are grant writers, I would suggest it's closed for next year. But they gave me $4,000.
I apologize. Mike Devitt here from Centennial. I have a situation I have to leave and attend to. I regret and I apologize for interrupting you, sir. And Elaine, I'll send an email and see if perhaps I can join another group. But I have an event that just occurred that I need to pay attention to. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. No problem.
Take care. Anyway, I do a lot of grant writing to get additional materials for the gardens, and many organizations have helped us out in the past, and we were very appreciative to also receive your farm to school grant because every little bit helps. So we were able to buy additional plants both for our school and for Tilden. And at the end of the month, or sometime in May, we're going to have a spring garden festival where we're doing farm to table, where we're able to use ingredients which we have grown in our gardens, to have food tastings, to actually incorporate them into full-blown meals. Some supermarkets have been very generous with providing us with additional items, such as proteins and fruit, things that we don't have yet. And we're starting a program in a couple of weeks called Making Meaningful Meals, which are healthy meals that we will be relying a lot on the vegetables we produce to be part of meals, which we will be putting in containers for students who have issues at home with hunger, or they just want something extra to eat when they go home. And it's also for their families to start making meals during the school day using equipment we've purchased in the past and making meals to try to stamp out hunger, and also doing demonstration cooking lessons with another group called the Urban Nutrition Initiative, where they learn how to cook with healthy, fresh items, because there aren't too many supermarkets in Southwest Philadelphia. there is one on either side of the boundary of the area, but most of the food students get is from corner stores, fast food places. So we're trying to do a mindset change of getting generations of students and bringing their brothers and sisters in and having them practice with us cooking lessons. There are family members who come in as guest chefs who also participate. And I'll just say one more thing and then I'll stop. During the summer, we've never had a problem with anybody helping us. Students come and help all the time. We also have parents and guardians come, and they are allowed, if they help us out, to pick from the produce that we're offering on any given day. And we've also had many farmers markets because we produce so many things, especially during the summer, that we're able to have farmers markets and give away free produce in front of the school, which has been a great hit with people in the community. So the gardens are really the catalyst at Bartram and Tilden to make a difference in our community.
Wow, fantastic. Any questions?
Yeah. Any questions?
Just very impressed. That's an amazing description of your partnership. I really think that the mentoring between students of different ages, the buy-in from Bartram's Garden, and the way the schools give back to the community, it's all a very beautiful and integrated project that you're describing.
Thank you. Yes, we've been very fortunate because the community has been very supportive, and parents often want to work with us, but they're not sure how, and they can find a way to help us with the gardening, and we also have flower gardens outside. And in fact, in May, there are 2 or 3 schools in Philadelphia that have this, but the Philly Orchards Project will be planting 16 fruit trees in the front of the school of all different varieties, from fig to cherry to apple. And around the trees, they will be surrounding it with what they call it fruit food gardens, which are basically tons and tons of flowers to attract bees to help pollinate. So they can pollinate the trees and they can pollinate the gardens. So we have that coming in May. And so there are constant things that we're trying to achieve here. And the best thing that I always hear is when we're outside working in the gardens, adults from the community will say, "Thank you so much for what you're doing. You know, is there any way we can help? Do you mind if we take a cucumber?" Whatever. And they say, "You make us proud of our school, and the community thanks you so much." So that means everything to us and the students when we're able to share these things with them.
What an inspiring story. When you started, I was going to ask how an English teacher became involved in gardening and gardening projects, but you kind of explained that with the Bartram connection.
Basically, there was a teacher many, many years ago who started a few gardens here, and she was transferred to another school. And somebody a few years ago said, "Is there anybody at the school who wants to do gardens outside again?" And I'm a passionate gardener at my house. I grow so many things at home that people, we give a lot of the stuff away. We just can't keep up with it. My grandfather was, I live in his house, and he was a prolific gardener. Almost his whole backyard was dedicated to vegetables, flowers, peach trees, apple trees, pear trees, cherry trees. And so I inherited that from him. And so for years I've been gardening at home. I get more frustrated with my gardens at home, mainly because I have a lot of trees, so I have a lot of squirrels. who like to nibble on tomatoes and things. And in the past 3 years, I've actually had groundhogs coming into my yard. We've captured 6 different groundhogs and released them in the John Hines Wildlife Refuge, which is about 5 minutes from here. So I like the gardens at the school in a way because there are no trees around until we plant these fruit trees. And there aren't too many birds. There are no squirrels. So everything thrives, and it does very, very well. It's in a very sunny spot, a very excellent location, and we get soil from a gentleman who is a farmer in the Poconos, and he comes and drops the soil off every year to replenish it. So, and we get that through Bartram's Garden for free. So that's how I became a gardener here, basically, because I do it at home.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Robert? Okay, thanks, Robert.
You're welcome.
So we're skipping Mike and Centennial, so we'll move on to Smethford and Dave.
Yep. I have everything written down, so it's going to sound like I'm reading because I am.
Okay.
Our school board kind of wanted to know what was going on here, and like Robert, I ramble too, so in order to avoid doing that, I'm just going to read off something I already have prepared for us. My name is Dave Wolf. I teach life skills, grades 7 through 12 in the Smethford Area School District. Okay, this is basically what was on our application. The project we're doing, our life skills program, is one that would allow individual students to plan and plant a vegetable garden. The students will each plan and construct their own individual raised bed garden in the center yard area of the district. Our school district is just like it's a big square, and in the middle there's a couple of doors to access, like a large courtyard in the middle of the building, and that's where we're going to be doing this. Students will first research and learn which plants will be successful to thrive in the growing area. They would then learn how to test the soil in order to prepare it for the highest yield. Students will participate on an individual basis, at least having a garden bed to work with in order to hypothesize about growth, production, and to observe the results. Our plan is to consult with a master gardener from the local cooperative extension for guidance to ensure a successful implementation of our program. Our program will begin by starting our plants from seed in an indoor classroom garden. So we plan to start in early April. We're hoping to lengthen our growing season. It is limited by the adverse weather conditions. Last year our garden got whacked because of frost third week of May. So we're going to wait till the very last minute to try to put it out this year. The Life Skills program at the Smethford Area School District has strived over the past 3 years to provide students with positive outcomes upon graduation by exposing them to skills that they need upon completion of their education. Planning, hypothesizing, and providing one's own food using a limited amount of space are skill sets that fit into our vision, as well as needs of the students for post-secondary outcomes for transition. The food created from our gardens will be used to prepare meals within the classroom. Preparing meals is part of the garden's curriculum and ongoing process. We will grow a vegetable garden with an emphasis on foods that we can use in our classroom. For example, cucumbers will be used for salads, as well to make canned pickles. Cherry tomatoes will be used for salads, as well as to make spaghetti sauce and salsa. Students will pick plants based upon their ability to grow in our area, as well as how they can be used within the classroom. The types of vegetables grown will depend on the individual's choice. This grant is just a small part of money that we got. We also got a vision grant from our district, and we've also had donations as well. We did have a raised bed garden last year, but we started 2 years ago, but it was all out-of-pocket expense. We've done pretty well with it. We wanted to expand the program. This grant basically we're using for soil and seeds and tools. Okay, work that we've done so far. We started making preparations for the implementation of our garden project. In the past 2 weeks, we've met with a master gardener from the Penn State Cooperative Extension. He's provided us with seeds and other equipment in order to help us start plants in our classroom. He's also provided us with guidance and resources in order to plan what to grow and when to start it. He suggested that we plant one of our raised beds to be pollinator friendly, and we have plans to do that. Within the next week, we plan to start our seedlings, and if the weather permits, start constructing our raised beds in the courtyard. We also assemble our donated shed at this time. Our goal is to construct the beds and place the shed in a manner that makes them easy for the maintenance staff to maintain in the courtyard area. Students have started their part of the project by choosing what kinds of plants they would like to grow in their individual gardens. Many of them choose plants that produce items they'd like to eat, but we're open to try new things. The variety of seeds we receive will allow them to explore many items that they have never been exposed to. Our life skills staff is committed to dedicating one raised bed to growing herbs and spices. They're planning to gather them during the upcoming growing season in order to use them for various cooking projects during the next school year. The variety of plants used in this bed will allow students to be exposed to a wide variety of tastes that they may never have experienced before. For the duration of this project, we plan to make regular entries into our class garden blog in order to document each step and allow parents and community members to follow our progress. We plan on allowing students to contribute photographs and provide input for various entries. A link for our blog will be found on our classroom webpage. For the remainder of this project for this year, the plans for the remainder of the year is to plan to build raised beds, fill them with growing media, and continue to start the needed plants inside our classroom. So our guys, we're buying the wood. We're going to put them together ourselves. As far as what we're going to put in them, we're going to use just pure compost. Compost we've gotten for free from the borough that I live in, which is Ridgeway, provides compost for the town for free. They collect leaves and branches or whatever, and they start huge mounds of compost in the fall. And in the spring, it's free, as much as you want to get. That's what we're going to fill our beds with. The one we did 2 years ago, that's what we filled it with. And then we have a worm farm in the classroom, and so we put a bunch of worms in it as well, and we've done really well with it. Because of the frost, again, as I said before, we can't put our plants in until the end of May. In the future, we plan to construct covers for the raised beds so we can start earlier in the year. Summer school class will take over our gardens and harvest any product that ripens during that time. Anything they pick will be prepared and consumed in class during the summer. In the fall, we'll continue with the project, again, utilizing the vegetables for class use and consumption. At the end of the season, we'll study how to get the beds ready for the next growing season. And the one thing that I really learned that benefited us was getting in touch with the master gardener from the Pennsylvania Cooperative Extension. He had access to seeds, he had access to a heat mat, pots, and he just had a lot of resources that we wouldn't have had access to otherwise. And of course, it was all free. That helped. Also, the local, he had mentioned that the Smithport Borough may also offer compost that we can get for free. I guess just ask around and contact people who are gardening and doing it within the community for help. That's all I got.
Okay, great. Yeah, ask around seems to be the lesson of the day. I'm glad that you mentioned the Master Gardener connection. That's something that we kind of sort of looked for in the applications to see if schools were sort of partnering, had kind of connections with people with expertise in a certain area. So the fact that you mentioned Master Gardener in your application probably got you a few bonus points. So if anybody else is interested in reaching out to Master Gardeners, if you just Google Penn State Extension, you'll find a map of Pennsylvania, and you can click on your county, and that will give you contact information for your extension agent. I'm not sure if that links you to the Master Gardener, but if not, the extension agent should be able to put you in touch with the Master Gardener.
I just shot them an email, and then they came back with a name. But come to find out, there's 2 teachers in the building who are Master Gardeners as well that I didn't even know about. When he showed up, because he teaches the class, and he told me, well, these 2 people are also sort of more people than you think.
Yeah. Sometimes the expertise is right under your nose.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, any questions, comments for Dave?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I think it's great that he's working with life skills class. I used to teach life skills years ago. I've been teaching 35 years, so I'm pretty old. But I'm in the twilight of my career. But that's one thing we've definitely tried to do at Bartram and Tilden is really get our life skills class, our autistic support class, and emotional support classes actively involved in our gardening as well as preparing food, because many times they don't have opportunities to integrate with other students at the school, so we often partner them with mainstream students to do these activities, and it's worked out very well. So they get to do all kinds of neat things with other students, and it just builds such a foundation of collaboration among exceptional students and mainstream students. And so I like that he was talking about the life skills program, because I used to do that. So
I think it's also great to have these ideas about the high schools, because my garden club is second graders, so they're little, but it's giving me the idea to reach out to the high school to see about who could help us. Maybe we could partner with older kids for service learning day or something like that. So I think it's good to hear about both of these schools that have older kids that tap into the different programs that the schools have.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really wonderful because they know each other from the community, they know each other from the neighborhoods, and sometimes they're actually older or younger brothers and sisters working together from the same family. So that's why we like to do it, because we feel like Southwest Philadelphia, that's our family. So we try to do that with all our activities.
Mm-hmm.
And they look up to them and probably consider them role models and might even respond better than they would to an adult in that situation.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
that is definitely true.
Audrey, were you about to say something a while ago?
Just going to ask Dave if those other teachers who are Master Gardeners have connected with the project yet. I know schools often talk about the importance of having numerous cheerleaders within the school community, and it sounds like you've got support from the district with a grant, but wondered if there are any other individuals in terms of teachers or staff or administration that have offered their support sort of within the system as well.
Yeah, the other Master Gardener, who's a teacher, is actually a pretty good friend of mine who I taught with 4 years ago. I didn't realize that she did that, so she's going to be helping us out as well.
No, that's awesome.
But the main Master Gardener guy is he's a retired guy, so he's been putting a lot of time in for us. So we've definitely had lots of support.
Fantastic.
Okay, anything else for Dave? Okay, then we will move on to Gianna and Global Leadership Academy.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Gianna Murdoch, and I am actually a wellness consultant. I've started my own little consultancy called Good Fresh Daily, and I work directly with schools in helping to support their wellness initiatives. I've been with Global Leadership Academy. This is my 5th year. They actually have expanded their site, so they're actually now at 2 sites. But I wrote this grant this grant was awarded to our original site, Global Leadership Academy West, and we had actually had the great fortune of being awarded this grant in the past. So this is at least my 2nd time around with this, maybe my 3rd. So I do kind of bring to this, some experiences, some great lessons learned. We do have a very rigorous wellness initiative that goes throughout the school, and in fact, we are the recipients of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Grant. So, hi, Audrey. And, hi. We've actually had that for 4 years as well. So we do have a lot of programs going on. So when I was really trying to think hard about what would really help to promote farm to school and our overall wellness initiative. And we do have a garden, but this year I really wanted to do more to try to connect our Youth Wellness Council that's very, very active and true leaders for our wellness initiative at school. They are the leaders of the school. We generate a lot of excitement and interest through the children. So I knew doing anything to kind of champion them, to deepen their experiences and their education base, it will resonate. If we can do something that really gets their excitement and kind of use that to carry through, that would be something that would be very sustainable. So I decided to really focus on providing our wellness council with I wanted to give them a true farm-to-table experience. I really wanted them to be able to understand the local food system and really be able to kind of track, like, see how the food is grown by taking them to farms that are right in their neighborhood. So where we are in Philadelphia, we do have the great fortune of being close to quite a few local farms. So I reached out to have a lot of partners on this program, which is another thing that I realized was really important to maintaining any kind of long-term kind of programming in your school. You just don't want to be the only person trying to do everything. You just can't. You can't do everything. But there's so many people and resources right in your neighborhood who this is their expertise, and they do want to do it. So I was able to reach out to Heritage Farms, which is Philadelphia's largest urban farm. They have 5 acres, like right off of City Avenue, and Greensboro West, which is also in the same kind of area, to arrange a farm trip so that the kids could go to the farm, again, all within like 5 miles of the school, right close, right in their neighborhood, to visit the farm and have that kind of like that experience of like dig your hands in the dirt. This is how we plant our seeds. Have them be able to harvest a food product, and to be able to like right on that farm, use those greens or whatever that food ends up being, like to blend it in a smoothie right then and there, or whatever, put it right in a salad, and so that they can really connect that this food that was grown right here, this is what we actually eat. The other part to it was to take them on another trip to a local farmer's market, again, right in their neighborhood, and really be able to track that same farmer to say, hey, Adrian, I just saw you on your farm, and now I see you at the farmer's market that's right in my neighborhood. I reached out to the Food Trust, and they're going to facilitate a tour of the farmer's market. They're going to give them some Philly food bucks so that the kids can, if you're unfamiliar with that, people who receive SNAP benefits get, I think it's $5 coupon for every, or maybe it's a $2 coupon for every $5 spent. So because we do work with a population that most of these kids are on SNAP and, food stamps, to be able to kind of give them the dollars so that they would understand this, that they can use their SNAP dollars and these Philly food bucks and how to use them at their farmer's market. And again, like at the market, just kind of have that whole experience and, be able to connect with nutrition educators right there. And then again, to maybe see another food item being prepared with that same product that they were able to track. And the next component was to be able to go to a restaurant and really have them see this food item on the menu, on their plate in a restaurant. A really big thing for me in thinking about this is that I really wanted to connect the kids to, like, I wanted them to understand that, like, healthy eating and, healthy lifestyles is more than what just Miss Gianna is talking to me in class. Like, this is like, there's a culture, there's like a community of people, there's vegetarians, and it's a broader movement. And so that they would be able to understand, like, wow, this is bigger than just within the 4 walls of Global Leadership Academy. And it just so happens that we're actually going to be able to take them to Clark Park, which is a huge, I think it's one of the hugest markets in Philadelphia, again, right in their neighborhood. And I just learned that they do have a partnership with the restaurant that's right across the street from Clark Park. So that'll end up being like a whole day that we can go to the farmer's market and then go have lunch at this place where that farmer sells their produce. Actually, this restaurant buys their produce from the market. So like that direct correlation. And then to kind of culminate the event, we will be able to take that food product and have the kids learn how to make it and have a taste testing for the rest of our school so that they can, again, kind of transfer like their experiences and be able to share it with the broader community. So I'm really excited about this project. Like I said, I think this is the 2nd or 3rd year, and I really feel good about just really being able to make a deep impact with this project. as far as where we are with it right now, really, because everything is kind of dependent on the growing season, we had to wait until there's some crops to harvest and for the farmers markets to open up. So we're really looking at doing this in May, kind of like to start. And this is it also works out well because it's like after state testing and kind of things are starting to die down. So really being an initiative that kind of takes place from May to June. But what I've done so far, as I've already mentioned, is I've already kind of connected with all of the players. So, already connected with the farmers and, put together a curriculum for what these days look like on the farms and, food trusts, like what is the tour going to look like? What are the food educators going to talk about? And just to make sure that it all aligns. Just a little sidebar, I actually connected with the Humane Society so that they can get a little presentation just to kind of understand the environmental kind of component to eating locally and seasonally. So just kind of like all the background so that once we're actually slated to start our trips the second week in May, which just kind of aligns with the growing season, and things should hopefully, you just don't really know, but hopefully it'll look, a little bit more vibrant out on the farm when they go out there, and just to be able to generate a little bit more excitement than, when it's kind of like looking like tumbleweeds out there, just so that engagement is there. And, I guess the only other thing I would say, as far as lessons learned is like, when I wrote the grant, had a whole bunch of excitement about it. I really did not take into consideration that the growing season, like for this grant, it really does depend on, the farms and the farmers markets being at full throttle, when that really doesn't happen until the end of the school year. It really is like May, June, or September, October. I do hope that that I can use this as a model that I can fund again, so that I can continue to extend and expand the audience for it, so that I can get kids even beyond our Youth Wellness Council to be a part of it, and something that I can continue right into like the next school year. So that's it.
Okay. Any questions, comments for Gianna?
I really like how you've sort of integrated that, sort of following the food from the farm to the table and the kitchen, preparing it. I should remember this from your application, but I don't. How many students will walk through this food chain process in these different
The actual number of students that will go on the trips is going to be about 25.
Okay. But then they'll share it with the rest of the school when they make some food.
Exactly.
Great.
I really like, Gianna, that you thought about the sustainability aspect. That's something we haven't really talked about, how to sustain these projects, and the idea of using it as a model to continue receiving funding.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask, where is Global Leadership Academy? Where are you located?
We are Belmont and Girard. So
Belmont and Girard.
Like parallel to City Avenue.
Okay.
Close to the Touch Museum.
Would it be possible sometime in the future for me to come and see your Youth Wellness Council and talk about your wellness initiative at the school?
Love to, definitely. And likewise, I actually would love to. I am familiar with Bartram, and and some of the works that you've done in the past. And I'd love to, have a field trip for my students to come in and see all of your gardens as well. I mean, the experience with interacting with the high school, and a lot of the kids that we do have on the council are the 7th and 8th graders. So I think it's really great to kind of like let them interact with the high school students and kind of see this gardening project. I actually think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds great. I would love to do that. And because a lot of the grants I've written have been for wellness initiatives, and I've been trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Like Lowe's store actually, they even came into the school across the room from me and refurbished the room for us because they do a Heroes Project, a few per year, and you might want to check that out. They actually put in some really nice cabinets and countertop space for students to utilize for cooking activities or using the computers. We call it our Teen Wellness Center, and I have bean bags and things in there, beanbag chairs.
Wow.
And I got a wellness library of $500 of books from the First Book Association. You had to write a little grant for that. So I put in books. All the books had to do with health and wellness, and so the students loved them. They actually asked to borrow them a lot, and always, if I have a lot of copies of one thing, I'll let them borrow it. They're not always real good about bringing books back, but there's a wellness library. They've done yoga in there. We have yoga mats. We've had somebody come in and do meditation with them, and so a lot of students just love going to that room because they feel a sense of peace and tranquility when sometimes a lot of things are very hectic in the school. There are conflicts going on. So, I would love to come and see what your youth council is all about and your initiative, if you would allow me to do that.
Sounds great.
So if you two agree, I could share your email addresses so that you can connect with this call.
Absolutely.
Sure. Absolutely. And actually it made me think that maybe that's something that we want to do with all of the schools is send out contact information so that those connections can continue beyond these initial calls. But what I think I'll do is send out a message to everyone and ask them if they mind having their email address shared. And then we'll send out those who agree to it.
Yeah, sure. That's a great idea.
Anybody?
For the two of you, sorry.
Go ahead.
For the two of you, I recommend doing the Philadelphia Horticultural Society, the Green City Teachers. It's like not even you don't have to apply. You just attend. I think it's like 4 workshops, and then you present your idea, and then they give you $500. It's really easy. So just look it up online, the Green City Teachers, especially since you guys are both really close to the city.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, at Tilden, they already signed me up to do that because the teacher at Tilden doing the gardens already had been through the program, and then they said, "Oh, Mr. Thomas, you haven't done it yet." And I said, "No, I would love to." And then somebody, I don't know which organization, I'll try to find out. There's some organization that will come to your schools and work with teachers, I think, to help you learn how to build garden beds or something. I'll try to find out the name of it.
That's the same program, actually. Tenders, garden tenders or something like that.
The tree tenders? I think it's tree tenders.
Yeah, it may be. I don't remember the name of it, but I know they said if you do workshops with them for a few days, then they will help you to build 4 garden beds or something. And I said, okay, I'll do that too. So we just have to figure out at our school where we're going to plant new garden beds because
running out of space.
Yeah, there is tons of space in the front of the school, but the principal said you can do fruit trees, you can do flowers, but no vegetable beds in the front of the school. And at first I was irritated, but I understand his point of view. You know, he wants a certain aesthetic in front of the school. So we had actually been part of, I don't know if anybody's heard it. It was called the DT360 Challenge, which my school was involved with. I think there were 13 or 14 high schools. And our original idea was to get wood chips and just put them all over this one part of the parking lot. And after a few years, we were told at Bartram's Garden, the wood chips will, disintegrate and it will all become like soil, so you can plant things on top of that, because we have a mural outside we painted from the Mural Arts Fund, and it celebrates, it's called Growing Our Minds Through Growing Our Gardens. So if you come and visit, I'll have to show you the mural we painted outside. But yeah, everything. I just tell everybody that, to me, that's the catalyst at our school. The gardens. That's where we started, and that's the heart of everything we do. So,
I think we should have a field trip. Everyone go to all the different schools. That would be fun.
That would be interesting to do field trips to different schools and see what's going on. I would like that.
Yeah, me too.
I have a question for Audrey before we wrap up. When you're talking about like cooking with the kids and everything like that, how does that work with like health codes and stuff? Because I wasn't sure how like taking food from the garden, incorporating with the cafeteria, et cetera, like if there's like a process in terms of like safety and all that stuff, because, you know, the last thing we want to go through is due process because a kid ate something that, I don't know, was contaminated or something like that.
Right. So you want to make sure that you're teaching food safety practices with any food preparation. Will these foods be served? You're not serving them at lunch or breakfast, are you, in the school meals? Well,
we were hoping to start to incorporate that, but I don't really know how that works.
Yeah, well, anything served as part of a school meal would definitely need to be processed and handled in the kitchen as other foods that come through the school meals program would need to be handled. And there are some really good there's some good guidance about handling fresh fruits and vegetables at schools, whether it's from the school garden or in the classroom. And I can actually forward you some of those resources about food safety with fruits and vegetables, because you definitely want to make sure that you're teaching the children the food safety principles, as well as making sure that the food that's going to be shared among the students is safe. So I will be glad to forward you some of those resources.
Your cafeteria manager would be helpful with that as well.
Definitely, yeah. And like I said, if you're looking to incorporate them into meals, you would definitely need to go through the food service director so that they're the ones sort of in charge of how that food is being stored and handled.
Okay.
Yes, most cafeteria managers, not all, are very. Mine has been not helpful whatsoever. She's tried to stop me at every place. We don't serve, when we do meals, our students have been through a program. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, but I'll try to find out. But they went through like 4 or 5 hours. It was a whole program of how to handle foods and prepare foods in the proper manner. And after that, because at first I wasn't real comfortable with it, but after they went through that program, and we've been doing it for 3 years, but we don't do anything like with the cafeteria or in the cafeteria, because we're told that's a big no-no in Philadelphia. And the cafeteria manager has tried to shut down many things we've done after school, before school. I don't know why, because I've tried to talk to her about it. But yeah, there is some kind of program, and I'll try to find out the name of it. I'm sorry, by the end of the day, I'm exhausted and my brain's not functioning. But it was a couple of years ago, and it was 4 or 5 hours, and they went through every single skill about preparing food, and how to use sanitary methods and all this. And once they went through that, the principal and other people were on board because they knew that they had gone through this program, and this they felt fine with students preparing food.
Okay. I think we're ready to wrap up. If anybody has any final questions or comments. Okay, thank you
for
all.
The grant.
Oh, thank you for the application.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all
very much.
Great to hear about what you're doing. Keep up the great work.
There was a lot of
good meeting. Thank you.
Just a couple of things I wanted to mention. I think Gianna brought up learning about kind of realizing that the grant activities had to fall in line with the growing season. I just wanted to remind you, because this question came up with another school, these grant projects go the calendar year, not the school year, so they started in January and they extend through December. So a couple of years ago we realized that with farm to school projects, it's helpful to have it in place over the summer if you have a school garden.
Yeah.
So we started doing calendar year versus school year.
Thank you.
So participating in this call, this was the second requirement of the grant, so I'll be sending you the paperwork for your second payment. So if you'll just need to, again, sign those invoices, mail them back to me. Other than that, good luck as you progress with your projects, and we'll continue to be in touch by email, but in the fall we will actually reach out to all of you by phone to get updates on your projects. So.
Great.
With that, I guess we'll sign off, and congratulations, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.